And we're through week 2 of the fantasy season already. And this is, in my memory, one of the worst starts to a fantasy season that I can think of. Listen to this list of injuries to, to good players. Jordan Love, out a couple weeks. McCaffrey, IR. Tua, might be brain dead. Debo, out a couple weeks. Puka, IR. A.J. Brown, out a couple weeks. Pacheco, potentially out for the season. T. Higgins, out the last 2 weeks, maybe coming back this week. Cup, probably going on IR. Kenneth Walker, out last week, potentially out this week. The Tua injury also affects Waddle and Tyreek Hill pretty significantly. Of every team in the league, there are only 4 teams that are unaffected by any significant injury. The Goblins, Big Balls, Swamp Dicks, Cambodians. 33% of the teams in the league after week 2 are unaffected by injury. Could be a crazy year. Who knows what other injuries are going to pop up? Hopefully none. But I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 players that were essentially 9 players that are essentially top 40 picks hurt. Basically, 9 players in the top 3 rounds hurt. Crazy. Okay. So let's go over what happened this weekend. We'll start with the matchup to watch. We said we were gonna watch Hurley and Chuck Shear versus Cambodians. They were both the only 2 1-0 teams squaring off. We wanted to see if Hurley and Chuck Shear's week 1 performance with the King of the Week was fool's gold or if it was for real. We're not going to call it fool's gold, but we're also not going to call it for real. 80 points put up by Hurley and Chuck Shear, and Cambodians blow them away. King of the Week. Hurley and Chuck Shear, King of the Week last year. They draw the King of the Week. Or King of the Week last week. They draw the King of the Week this week in the Cambodians. 152. The 80-point performance from Hurley and Chuck Shear, this is tough. It's tough because Hurley and Chuck Shear, they were riding high after last week, and rightfully so. Looking like they got a good pick with a really good pick with Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, and Jaden Daniels. That core 3 that we talked about last week, and in a blink of an eye, it's ripped away. Cooper Kupp likely to be out a few weeks. Tyreek Hill, depending on Tua's health, might be a little limited going forward. So Hurley and Chuck Shear definitely took a big punch this week. They went from how are we gonna win this thing to how are we gonna survive these blows. So be interesting to see how Hurley and Chuck Shear moves along these next couple of weeks and navigates those injuries. Cambodians, one of the 4 teams that we talked about, not hit with injury, and this team is loaded. This team is loaded. Definitely tier one with the Catalina wine mixins. I think they're in a tier of their own. Both very, very, very good teams. Do not want to be playing these teams um, right now. You want to hope to catch them late in the year and hope for some regression or something. But the Cambodians are looking very, very, very tough. All right, next up we had Catalina wine mixins versus big balls. Catalina wine mixins, 141, big balls 124. Yeah, as I said last week, this Catalina wine mixin seems very, very tough. However, they did take a blow this weekend, losing Deebo Samuel for what's looking like it's gonna be a couple weeks at least. So, um, not worried for the wine mixins. I think that they're deep enough and good enough to weather the storm. Big balls, better performance this week from his team. um, Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell are going to be an interesting. They're going to be an interesting play each week. Looking like they're probably going to be boom and bust here and there, and I think it's going to be a lot of bust and a couple booms in between. But another team that is not devastated by injury, so that bodes well for them. Being 0-2, it's not the start that any team wants. But in my personal opinion, I say 0-2 doesn't scare me, but 0-5 does. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with both these teams moving forward. Kelly Wymixon's improved to 2-0 now, and Big Balls falls to 0-2. Another team, Swamp Dicks versus Capone's V Card. Capone's V Card, 139 to 116. They get a vintage Alvin Kamara performance. 44 points from Alvin Kamara. They, to be honest, the Capone's V Card, I think they're gonna need big games like that from Kamara continuing. With the loss of Puka and Travis Kelce is just absolutely washed. Um, so yeah, they do seem to have gotten a nice late round pick with Tony Pollard. So Capone's V card improves to 1-1. Swamp Dicks dropped this one. Another one of the teams that is not hit by major injury. Keenan Allen and Evan Ingram missed this week, but it's nothing major for them. Neither one of those guys are really key parts of their team. So should be able to weather that storm. So Swamp Dicks 1-1, Capone's V card 1-1. Next up, the Goblins versus the Tasty Boys Club. All right, we talked about the Tasty Boys Club and how they are just a trash team, and it is tough to see. But, however, there is a glimmer of hope. Marvin Harrison Jr. has entered the chat with a 28-point performance. Tasty Boys Club, I put them in there as a team that has been hit by injury. I mean, they have Tua, which isn't like a big deal for them. They can find someone on the waivers who's just as good. But the reason why I'm including them is because they have Jalen Waddle, and I think without Tua, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are take a huge hit from that. Respectable performance, 124.7. It's tough for them. I don't know how often they're going to be putting up 120 plus, and it just so happens that they ran into the Goblins, who put up 148. Speaking of the Goblins, I actually think that this is also a tier one team. I think that they are in that same tier as the Wine Mixons and the Cambodians. Very strong team. I mean, just a steal of a pick. It's looking like from J.K. Dobbins. He's just running all over the place. Malik Neighbors looking good. Rashi Rice looking good. Jameson Williams, another great late round pick. It's looking like, yeah, it's when you get great picks with Dobbins and Jameson Williams late. That's just if you hit on two guys like that like you're living nice. So look out for the Goblins. They are now 2-0, and Tasty Boys Club drops to 0-2. Goblins are the fourth team that is not devastated by injury. So yeah, moving on. This is a sad story. I don't even really know like what to say, but Fear the Choge versus True Under Big Dog Story. Fear the Choge with 55 points. Our preseason number one overall, and his world's been flipped upside down. I mean, 55 points, that's all you need to know. You have the number one pick overall. You pick a guy who's just been reliable. He's been reliable the last 2 or 3 years. It's just, someone who's going to give you 25 plus. And then, boom, comes out. It's like, nah. My Achilles hurts. Not playing. And then he's forced to fill in with a guy with Ty Chandler. So yeah, just really, really looking bleak for Fear the Choge. A lot of players aren't panning out the way they were expected, but a lot of time left. It looks like JSN might be coming on. That'll be good for them. A nice little boost for them. They got Demarcus Robinson. That actually could be very good for them with Puka and Cup going to be out for a couple weeks, so Demarcus Robinson will slide into the number one receiver role, and then they have Colby Parkinson, the tight end for the Rams. So those might be their two top targets. So we'll see for Fear the Choge. Little glimmer of hope there. True Under Big Dog Story. They had a good week this week. They lost Jordan Love at the beginning of the year. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. But outside of that, they're looking good injury wise. Pretty middle of the road team, average team. Nothing too great, but big for them. Jordan Mason, going to be a big piece for them while McCaffrey is out. So that's actually a big boost for them. We'll see what they do towards the end of the year once McCaffrey comes back and they have to fill that void. But next couple weeks, True Under Big Dog Story is looking like they're going to be in pretty decent shape. So they improved to 1-1. Fear the Choge drops to 0-2. We'll see if JSN, Demarcus Robinson, and Colby Parkinson can pick up a lot of slack for Fear the Choge and kind of propel him forward a little bit because he needs it. He needs it right now. Next one, the Dog Pound. Our last matchup, Dog Pound versus Elmwood Lawyer. This was our toilet matchup of the week, 93-82. Uh, Dog Pound was without Kenneth Walker, and Elmwood Lawyer. Outside of, I would say Elmwood Lawyer and Hurley and Chucks here are the most devastated by injury right now. Elmwood Lawyers just lost Pacheco, and he has also lost A.J. Brown. Those are two of their key pieces. And they dropped to 0-2. I got a text from Elmwood Lawyer. He was already Googling stuff about the ice plunge, saying, so he sent me something. It just said, jumping into water under 60 degrees can kill you within a minute. So he's already a little worried, wants to negotiate that punishment. It's only week 2, but it's only natural to, be panicking a little bit. It is looking bleak for them. I don't know where they're going to find replacements for those guys. So, yeah. Dog Pound improves to 2-0. Average team. But, yeah. Elmwood Lawyer drops to 0-2. So we got a couple 0-2 teams. Actually, we have 4 0-2 teams. Big Balls, Elmwood Lawyer, Tasty Boys Club, Fear the Choke. I'd say of those 0-2 teams, I'd say, right now I'd say Elmwood Lawyers in the darkest spot, followed by Tasty Boys Club, then Fear the Choke, then Big Balls. We'll see what happens this coming week. So, yeah. Week 3 matchups: Big Balls versus Dog Pound, Capone's V Card versus Tasty Boys Club, True Under Big Dog Story versus Swamp Dicks, Elmwood Lawyer versus Goblins, Cambodians versus Fear the Choke, and Catalina Y Mixins versus Hurley and Chuck's Year. Really nothing special here. There's no matchup to truly watch here, so that's what we're working with. Next week we will redo the power rankings, but yep. So good week this week. We're on to week 3, and the season's moving along. Good luck to everybody. I'll be back next week.